Hello. Whoa, everyone can hear me, I imagine. I would love to, I'm so happy to be here welcoming all the media, both in person and virtually, to our Global Wellness Press Conference this year on our groundbreaking research, defining the global economy of mental wellness. I know a few of you, at least here in the room, might have already seen this session, seen our research do a presentation, but I want to assure you this will be broader than that and not a retread, so please sit patiently for a little bit of a recap for those in our audience that may not have been here. In terms of what you're going to see today, first I'm going to introduce Susie Ellis, the Global Wellness Summit's chair and CEO. She'll give some welcoming remarks and thoughts on the significance of this year's research. Then Dr. Richard Carmona, our medical advisor and the 17th Surgeon General of the United States, will share his thoughts on the mental wellness imperative that COVID and other 2020 events have accelerated. Following Dr. Carmona will be the presentation of the mental wellness research by our GWI researchers, Catherine Johnson, Ophelia Young, and Tonya Callender. All of them will be available at the end of their presentation for Q&A. So first, gives me great pleasure to hand this over to Susie.
Thank you, Cassandra, and welcome to everyone. We've had a wonderful morning here in Palm Beach, Florida, kicking off our summit, whose theme is Resetting the World with Wellness. And it's a really special summit. We are here in person. Thanks very much to Dr. Richard Carmona and the hardworking team that we've been able to put together a hybrid event where we have people in the audience, socially distanced, all wearing masks. We all had COVID tests. And just extreme measures done here with the breakers to have a very, very safe summit. And we've opened it up to a virtual audience. And Cassandra, you have done an amazing job in bringing, I think it's over 100 media from all over the world to this focus because of what we're doing. And in particular, we thought we would focus the press conference on the very important research that a few years ago we thought, it's probably going to be time to do a research study on mental wellness. Little did we know that it would be absolutely so perfect and so needed because, of course, we had no idea that we would be facing COVID. So I just am welcoming everyone, and do you want me to introduce Dr. Carmona, Cassandra?
Yes, please.
Well, Rich Carmona and I go back a ways, 15 years ago when he first came to one of our summits. He's the 17th Surgeon General of the United States and has been a champion of health and wellness. He's with Canyon Ranch now, but he's really speaking all over the world. And he has been the medical advisor for this summit. He's also on our board of advisors for the Global Wellness Institute. So Rich, over to you.
Thank you, Susie, and thank you, Cassandra, for pulling this all together, because it's most important that the world gets to see what we've accomplished here. Not only that with, I might mention my Sergeant Major there, Nancy, being able to pull us all together and drive infrastructure that provides us a safe haven where we can exchange information around this value proposition of resetting the world with wellness. And I would say at no time in the history of mankind have we needed wellness more than today. And as Susie said, 14, 15 years ago when I first met her and I saw a very motivated, passionate person who was trying to put together subject matter experts in a multidisciplinary fashion to address the issues back then we call prevention, because wellness hasn't captured our imagination yet. And I remember that was one pivotal moment where in discussions with Susie, we decided, this was a bigger value proposition than just representing industry and spas and things, but it's about the health of the nation. It's about the health of the world. And we pivoted, and it was so right thing to do then, because it was this groundswell from around the world started in the weeks after, where we were inundated with people wanting to jump on board from countries all around the world who were present to say, we want to be part of this movement. And now we're faced with COVID, an invisible threat that has brought us to our collective knees over the last almost a year now. And we spent a lot of time dealing with the physical nature, the understanding of a virus that had mutated that we had never seen before, that acted a lot like the pandemic of 1918, which is the last pandemic we really had to deal with. And unfortunately, many of the lessons learned from that time were lost. And we see that in the challenging ways that we've addressed this now, and the struggles that have ensued. The mounting disease, the transmission of disease that continues, the uncertainty, the anxiety, the mental health challenges that have emerged. And we've spent a lot of time on the virus and the disease it causes, and the ICUs and the doctors, and COVID fatigue, and people struggling. But yet, as with all mental health, it gets marginalized. And the mental health impact is extraordinary on a world that already is challenged because of the divisiveness, because of hyper-partisan politics, because of lack of clear direction as to what to do to prevent any further transmission and to deal with this challenge. And you think about the stress that it has on everyday people every day. The loss of jobs, the loss of family, the loss of opportunity, the fear, the anguish of losing your home, losing your car, your children can't go to school. We can't minimize that. And I give credit to Susie and Nancy, Cassandra, and the team to saying, let's make this a pivotal part of wellness, mental wellness, okay? And as I pointed out in my remarks this morning, we are spending 19% of our gross domestic product on health care. That's not really true. It's not health care. It's sick care. Most of the dollars we spend, 75 to 80%, are spent on chronic diseases. And mental health gets even shoved over to the side even more because of the stigma, the bias associated with mental health. So this is a wonderful opportunity to shine a light on mental health as part of wellness. And we cannot be well unless we capture mental health as well. So I'm proud to be part of the team that Susie and Nancy and others have put together to be able to spread this word, because last thing I'll say that I recognized when I met Susie, as Surgeon General of the United States, these are issues I was passionate about, but I did not have a content distribution network. Many of you in the press would cover the Surgeon General, and then it would go away the next day. This is sustainable, as Susie and Nancy and the team have shown. So to be able to use my, if you will, platform as a Surgeon General to be able to emphasize the importance of prevention, of health, of wellness, and now mental health as part of wellness, I'm very happy to do that. I'm very proud to do it. And to do it in a COVID environment where we can show the rest of the world we can come together. We can share information. We can be socially distant. We can test everybody before they come in and make sure that we have a safe environment. So kudos to the Breakers and Paul Leone and Denise Bober to be able to step up and take a chance and show the world that we could do this safely. So we're very proud of that.
Thank you so much. And now we have the opportunity to turn on our Zoom screen, if possible. And we see, there we go. Hello, everyone out there. It's so great to see these happy faces. I'm going to throw it to Ophelia to introduce the research presentation and her colleagues.
Hi everyone. So we're going to have a 20-minute presentation for you, and it's on mental wellness research. And because we have some new friends here joining us on this Zoom who may not have seen our presentation just an hour ago, we're first going to recap some of the framework and definition. So bear with us. There'll be about 7 minutes that, for some of you, you might have heard it and you can maybe just close your eyes and not pay as much attention, but I assure you there is a lot of new content, and we're going to have Tonya cover the industry segments in mental wellness. And I know that's going to be of a lot of interest, because when you want to write about the numbers, you want to have some context, and we were not able to cover it in today's presentation. So stay tuned and don't walk away. Thank you. Mental wellness is getting a lot of attention this year because we're all living under stress for obvious reasons. People are desperate for strategies to improve their mental health, and businesses have jumped right in to offer all kinds of solutions. But what is mental wellness? And who is in the business of mental wellness? What are they offering, and how big is the mental wellness sector? Our research is the first study that tried to answer these important questions. We define mental wellness as an internal resource that helps us think, feel, connect, and function. It is an active process that helps us to build resilience, grow, and flourish. Unpacking this definition, mental wellness is a resource, like a reservoir that can be replenished and also depleted. It is also a dynamic process, one we have to actively engage with. And there are 4 dimensions to mental wellness: mental, emotional, social, and psychological, corresponding to how we think, feel, connect, and function. There is a tendency to think of mental health as a line from mental illness to mental wellness. Instead, I want to show you a different approach. The horizontal axis is the mental illness spectrum, from high to low or no mental illness. The vertical axis is the mental wellness spectrum, from languishing to flourishing. On the right-hand side, 85% of people in the world don't have a diagnosed mental illness, but only 20% of them are flourishing. Many people fall in the bottom right here, and we have all seen global stats on stress, loneliness, and disengagement from work. On the left side, these are people with a diagnosed condition, and some studies have found that 70% of them had a moderate or flourishing level of mental wellness, meaning they can be happy and function in life. So mental wellness can coexist with mental illness. Mental wellness is an active process of moving from languishing to flourishing. On one level, it is about building resilience so we can deal with things that come with life, like stressful and adverse events. But we also want to move toward flourishing, which is a more meaningful and richer human experience. Here's a slide where we compare some of the concepts and approaches between mental illness and mental wellness, and they are discussed in more detail in our report. I want to highlight self-care here. The mental wellness industry grows out of a grassroots movement of consumers who are looking for ways to deal with everyday mental challenges. Most of them don't have mental illness, and they're not looking for medication and talk therapy. They want to take initiative for self-care, and the emergence of the mental wellness industry is a response to this need. Before we get to the industry, let me show you the different pathways for mental wellness. I am sure you're familiar with many things on this list and practice some of them. We created this framework to segment mental wellness practices into 4 main categories. And because mental wellness is holistic and multidimensional, each of these categories has a mind-body and internal-external dimension. And inside these boxes are some specific examples of strategies and practices. We call these mental wellness pathways because you have to be engaged and walk the path. But these pathways are personal and subjective, and you can choose what works best for you. One clarification here. By characterizing them as individual pathways, we are not putting blame on people when they're not happy or if they get depressed, that they didn't meditate enough or write in the gratitude journals. Sometimes our media friends point out this implicit victim blaming when they criticize movements in self-help, positive psychology, and wellness in general. But the media raises many important questions about mental wellness, especially about equity, affordability, and access. What is the role of prevention in the mental health field? And what about when we're living through a crisis or do not even have our basic needs met? Whose job is it to deal with all these challenges? And as researchers, how do we deal with these kinds of questions in a study that is talking about mental wellness as an industry or a business opportunity? Everyone is familiar with Maslow's pyramid, but we don't want to view mental wellness in a hierarchy of needs where we first deal with our basic needs like safety, food, and employment, and then move up to loftier goals like mental health, happiness, and fulfillment. Instead, we want to look at mental wellness as three concentric circles that must work together. In the center are the individual tools that help us build up our mental wellness resources. The next ring is our immediate living environments, our families, neighborhoods, workplaces, and schools. For example, if we work in a toxic workplace culture, no amount of meditation can make that go away. The outside ring represents the macroeconomic and societal conditions that are entirely out of our control, things like the current pandemic, and these are often the cause of our mental distress. So governments definitely have a role in the outer ring, but this is a study about industry and business, so where does business fit in here? At the individual level, businesses can help to bring mental wellness solutions to more consumers through different channels and at different price points. At the middle circle, businesses can shape our physical and built environments and the culture of those environments. Returning to the mental wellness pathways, we can see many activities across the entire economy can play a role in supporting our mental wellness. Some businesses provide services and solutions that specifically target our mental wellness, like reducing stress, improving sleep, and preventing cognitive decline. And they typically fit into the growth and nourishment and rest and rejuvenation categories. By drilling down further, we identified 4 sectors that make up the mental wellness economy, and they are self-improvement, meditation and mindfulness, brain-boosting nutraceuticals and botanicals, and senses, spaces, and sleep. We estimate that in 2019, the consumer spending in these 4 sectors adds up to a $121 billion mental wellness industry worldwide. And we're focusing on activities that are outside of the medical and mental health treatment sphere. These 4 mental wellness sectors are incredibly broad and diverse, and the boundaries between them are not always clear or easy to define. Some of these products are meant for people's homes, some are used in workplaces, and some are being pioneered in the spa, hospitality, and travel arenas. There are many things that are high-tech, but there are also basic ones like books, vitamins, blankets, and candles. They may be passing fads like adult coloring books and stress toys. But many of these practices have been around for thousands of years, like meditation, aromatherapy, and psychoactive plants. Some of the products are controversial, and some are not even legal in many parts of the world, like cannabis and psychedelics. Our report contains much more information about each sector. Now I'll turn it over to Tonya, who is going to share some highlights on the historical context and current developments in these sectors.
Over the next several minutes, I'm going to give you a little more detail about each of the 4 sectors and highlight some key developments. We will start with self-improvement. These slides give you an idea of the types of businesses and products and services we find in the sector. Now, many would say that the self-improvement sector emerged in the 20th century with self-help gurus like Dale Carnegie. But actually, since ancient times, people have been searching for a better version of themselves, seeking guidance and support from others. Over time, new technologies like the printing press have helped the self-improvement sector to expand and thrive. Today, new digital technologies and media platforms are once again reshaping and expanding the market. The internet, social media, and apps provide tailored products and services to a diverse group of consumers. We can listen to our favorite self-help celebrities on YouTube and TED Talks, or use an app for advice, personal coaching, or to track our progress. An interesting development in this sector is the convergence of self-improvement techniques with wellness practices to create offerings in other industries such as tourism and fitness. These new products and services provide integrated and holistic ways to improve mental wellness. For example, fitness classes that incorporate meditation or apps that give advice on diet and exercise, as well as journaling and mindfulness. Recently, questions about the effectiveness of self-help have created a unique type of backlash. A new narrative asks people to consider whether practicing self-help actually creates more stress and makes us less happy. These self-help theories ask people to accept their feelings and care less about transforming their lives. A whole new crop of gurus who bash self-help has arisen. And ironically, anti-self-help has become its own form of self-help. Now, meditation and mindfulness, a sector with significant growth potential that was born out of spiritual traditions. We know that people have been practicing meditation and mindfulness for centuries because of their emotional and physical benefits. The West first adopted these techniques in the mid-20th century, creating the secular form that we recognize today. Recently, these practices have exploded in popularity. Today, with stress making us feel exhausted, sad, and even physically ill, it's not just millennials who are eagerly opening an app and grabbing a meditation cushion. A diverse group that includes kids and their grandparents is adopting these mental wellness practices. One reason this sector has so much potential is because these practices are being promoted by the medical and mental health fields. There is a substantial amount of scientific evidence demonstrating the benefits of meditation and mindfulness. These techniques are now used to help cancer patients with pain management, Alzheimer's patients with brain function, and people with mental disorders such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, and insomnia. So, a popular ancient mental wellness practice has actually become a modern medical treatment. Technology is another key driver of demand in this sector. Meditation and mindfulness apps have brought the benefits of these practices to more consumers in ways that are affordable and engaging. However, it's not just about those highly accessible apps. Businesses are harnessing the latest technologies to create products like watches, cushions, headbands, glasses, and virtual reality headsets, which give consumers many ways to practice. Other industries are integrating meditation and mindfulness into business models and practices, providing opportunities for consumers where they live and work and while traveling. Wellness industry innovators were some of the first to incorporate meditation and mindfulness techniques into their offerings. And now businesses across myriad industries are following their lead, expanding access to these practices for consumers and employees. We can practice at meditation and yoga studios, but also at gyms, local community centers, at work and school, in economy hotel rooms, or on a plane. Several innovative companies have created offerings to address the needs and concerns of specific groups of consumers, including non-English speakers, women, users identifying as LGBTQ+, and Black, Indigenous people of color. Now, public organizations and nonprofits are helping to bring these techniques to the wider community, including vulnerable populations. For example, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs has created a mindfulness coaching app for current and former service members. Finally, several local and global organizations are helping to bring the benefits of meditation to schools, prisons, homeless shelters, senior centers, and refugee camps. Now, brain-boosting nutraceuticals and botanicals. For centuries, people have been using plant-based, mind-altering drugs such as cannabis, opium, and certain mushrooms to improve their mood and enhance cognition. Today, people are turning away from prescription drugs for pain and stress, and we are seeing renewed interest in nutraceuticals and botanicals to help us feel calmer, happier, and smarter. There is increased interest in products that contain cannabis and CBD, and people are traveling overseas for the opportunity to try these substances at treatment centers. Nations such as the United States are following Canada's lead and starting to loosen restrictions on recreational use of these products, including cannabis and psilocybin. There has been promising research on CBD for treating certain medical conditions such as PTSD and inflammation, and for helping people suffering with chronic pain, addiction, and depression. Now, although there is a lot of interest in these products because of the potential mental wellness benefits, we need to temper this excitement with the knowledge that currently there is still uncertainty about the legality and safety of many of these substances. This uncertainty continues to affect both the development and growth of these products and services. The same is true for brain and sleep-enhancing foods and beverages. There's a lot of interest in products that improve focus and memory, enhance sleep, and reduce stress. Everyone wants their brain performing at optimal levels, from students to investment bankers, older adults, and let's not forget those young gamers making millions competing online. Unfortunately, research and regulation of these substances has lagged behind the public's interest. So there is scant proof that many of these food and beverages actually work. More importantly, consumers don't know if what they're putting in their bodies is safe. It's possible that just maintaining a well-balanced diet is a safer and more effective choice. And now finally, senses, spaces, and sleep. This pandemic has painfully demonstrated how important feelings of safety and comfort are for our mental wellness. What we touch, smell, hear, and see can create or relieve stress. It's not surprising that throughout history, different cultures have included vibrations, scents, light therapy, and soothing touch in their healing practices. The wellness industry has reintroduced these sensory-based healing modalities to modern consumers, and it is successfully combining these age-old mental wellness techniques with the latest science and technology. Multi-sensory offerings, especially in the sleep market, are quickly becoming key tools in our fight against stress and anxiety. Today's sleep solutions go far beyond a comfy pillow and a firm mattress. Businesses are selling apps, wearables, robotic pillows, light controls, and sound monitors to create multi-sensory experiences that promote relaxation and enhance our sleep environment. Science and technology continue to expand our knowledge of how to use the senses to relax, sleep, and improve our mood. Along with sound and vibrations, light therapy is becoming a key part of the sector. Of course, spaces do not refer just to our bedrooms or our home. Outside the home, we have more opportunities to focus on creating calm and improving our mood. Consumers are seeking sensory experiences such as gong baths, flotation tanks, forest bathing, and hug therapy, and even paid nap opportunities. Spa and wellness resorts were the first to introduce consumers to such senses, spaces, and sleep offerings, and they continue to develop innovative ways to support mental wellness via our senses. Now, other industries are following their lead. Today, we not only find a focus on senses, spaces, and sleep in the wellness industry, other companies are using natural light, biophilic design, sleep pods, scents, and sounds to enhance customers, employees, and even tenants' mental wellness. To conclude, what can you take away from this? Well, there are three key developments that we find across all four sectors. First, we have rising consumer demand fueled by both a pressing need to improve our mental wellness and more openness to non-medical solutions. Second, technology is creating products and services that are more affordable, accessible, and engaging. Third, and finally, businesses are partnering across industries and continuing to expand mental wellness opportunities.
Great. Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. Thank you, Tonya. Thank you, all of our researchers. And I would love, we have about 10 minutes, and I would love to take some questions. Is it possible anybody here in the room can go first? Hi, Lisa. This is Lisa Starr.
Putting the mask back on. Thank you, first of all, Ophelia and Catherine and Tonya. Wonderful details. I'm curious if there will be more breakdown in the printed report on those sub-segments within the four categories, like what was books and what was movement and how that works. But this is my second follow-up is, as someone that represents the spa industry, I see that the big money categories are more things, and the mindfulness and meditation one is by far the smallest category, which makes me wonder, are consumers less willing to spend on an experience and more on a thing? And where do we stand with that? Do you have any thoughts on that? Thank you.
I can jump in and answer that question. First off, your question on the numbers on the sectors. In our report, in terms of breakdowns, the numbers that you've seen on the screen are the only numbers that we're providing in the report this year. It's a little different approach than what you've seen in previous year's studies, because this sector is just so new and evolving so fast, and we really wanted to put the emphasis on simply defining it, understanding what this is, what it means in the marketplace. So much is underneath it and is changing. And so the focus is more on that in the report than giving the big global country by country, sector by sector breakout of numbers. But we do have half of our report. This report's about 100 pages, the full report when it comes out, and a good half of it is focused on those 4 sectors and a lot of detail explaining developments and what's happening in them, companies, products, technologies. So we drill down a lot into those, just not in terms of the dollar signs. The second question, which I'm going to forget what you asked. Phil, you want to take that one?
I think the
I
second
can reprise
question
it just to say again, it was what do you think consumers are more willing to spend on things than
yes.
experiences, and how will that factor for the spa and wellness industry where we sell experience?
The people are increasingly willing to spend on experience, but with practices like meditation, we have to remember it's like physical activities. People can go running. It's important they can do these things without spending money. Or even if people spend $5 a month on an app, that's not big spending. So I think there tends to be a lot of hype in people think about meditation because of the venture funding going into the mental wellness tech, and so I think there is just in our mind an exaggerated size of the current spending that people have on that particular practice. So it doesn't mean people are not thinking it's important. I think more than ever, more people are thinking about taking up those practices, meditation and mindfulness, and incorporating into their lives and everything they do. So it's great. And I think that the spa sector will really benefit from it because it's one of the sectors that had been really championing a lot of these, mindfulness, and you're just introducing people to it, basically.
And I think, sorry, I'm going to go to Zoom. Sarah Camilleri has a follow-up on that. Sarah, can you, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Ophelia and Catherine, thank you so much for your wonderful work. Following Lisa, I just, obviously I'm focused on spas and was very interested in your definition of the senses, space and sleep sector. The first part of the question is, do you project further growth with this driven by spas? And also with the pandemic kind of pivoting everything, do you see more growth in people taking up self-care and this segment at home and new services to do at home?
I would say yes, for sure, to the second question. In terms of the role that spas have played, I think we have to look back historically at the evolution of wellness as a practice and as an industry. And, way back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when no one was talking about this so much, that was embedded in the spa industry from the beginning, and in hospitality, and sectors where people are willing to go out and take a trip, and they want to try new things, and they're willing to experiment, and it might not be something they've done at home before. And that's how a lot of the original uptick of wellness started, and especially many of these mental wellness practices that might be seen as kind of weird or fringe. Maybe you've never heard of forest bathing, you've never tried it, it's not something you can do at home, but you're willing to go on a vacation or retreat or resort and try that out. And so I think we've seen that kind of evolution, that sort of a life cycle happen all along as wellness has grown, that people will experiment with things and try new things in spas, in travel, and then we start to see it flourish and proliferate as more of a day-to-day practice and something that we see at home. So, maybe we meditated on a retreat somewhere and we've learned how beneficial it is. And now you see meditation studios popping up in, places like New York City and LA, where people can actually go access, guidance and teachings for those services in their day-to-day lives. Yeah. So absolutely, I would see more of that kind of experimentation continuing and then working its way into daily practice.
And I have another, sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt anybody there. I have another question also from the UK, from Katie Barnes at Spa Business, saying many spas already offer modalities which help with mental wellness in many ways. What would you say operators can take away from your research, and how might they use it? Anybody want to answer that?
I mean, I think that the interesting thing is that spas definitely had been a pioneer in a lot of these modalities, and including especially the sensory categories. But as Catherine mentioned, there, with so much interest and the uptake of different modalities, I don't even know how to characterize spas anymore, because there are people, you know, like meditation studio, they're just doing one thing, and then there are salt caves, and then there are, you know, people offering cryotherapy, and some of them just offer one single thing, or there might be these integrative wellness places, and they may even offer massage, but they certainly do not market themselves as a spa. So it is, I think there's going to be increasing competition, because integrative health is now, you know, the health is moving into the wellness space. So a lot of them are moving into these practices and, you know, making new investments to provide and offer similar services. So it's, I would say there's probably going to be more competition with spas from now on in mental wellness. Don't know if it's what you want to hear.
Thank you. And I know we're running, yeah, okay, who do we have in the audience? Is that, hi.
Oh, thank you. Hey guys, Deborah with Well World TV. I see a lot of movement heading into the, you know, providing support for consumers, and having owned a company for a long time that was really focused on the healthcare practitioners. Were you able to find or identify platforms that were actually coming into existence that would also help this big wave of mental health professionals that are now going to bear, you know, carry this burden of taking care of all these, you know, consumers?
I can jump in, or Tonya, you might want to follow up with me. But I think one of the things we mentioned briefly in our presentation, our remarks earlier, is, you know, a lot of the investment funding that is pouring into this sector is in response to what you just said, which is the need to improve mental health treatment and improve complementary services and supplemental care for people who are facing those challenges. You know, people who are working as psychiatrists and psychologists, you know, they have a role in the same way that medical doctors do. That they're first off, they're treating people who are sick or ill. You know, they're not always in the space where they can provide the preventive care that people need, and sort of these complementary strategies. And so there's huge opportunity, and that's what you see with the investment money of, you know, people looking for ways, platforms where you can combine, say, talk therapy with, you know, meditation and some of these other practices that are incredibly beneficial, especially when done in conjunction with treatment. And so we see a lot happening there. Now, Tonya, do you want to add, or?
Well, yeah, that's certainly true. And when you think about employers and insurance companies, you're seeing a lot of interest in getting those type of technology and platforms that would allow employees to not just get mental health support, but on a broader avenue, you can get, you know, help with meditation or journaling, trying to understand that it's really holistic, and that sometimes when you have a mental illness, some of these other modalities can really help you. We saw a couple of companies that are working with insurers, and also insurance companies that are working with employers to try and bring these types of techniques to their employees.
So I'm going to have to wrap it up. Do you have, go Kim, can it be quick?
This is the first generation, I think you'll agree, millennials who aren't ashamed to approach mental health support. What did you see in your research about fighting shame, especially for boomers or those who don't want to admit they need help?
I'll try to answer that. We talked about the, you know, wellness, mental wellness as a salutogenic approach. It's not a pathological approach. So when we're talking about wellness, we're talking about there is the coping part, being resilient, but we're also talking about going to thriving. So we're all searching for, to reduce suffering and to grow and to make our lives more meaningful. And so it is to kind of just move the focus from it being preventing an illness to, everybody is trying to move toward wellness, working on our wellness. And even people who have diagnosed mental disorders can also work toward wellness because they can have a certain degree of mental wellness and be very functional and still have life satisfaction. So that is a more universal need. It's something shared. So I think like to move the focus on wellness is not omitting the very important, the big pandemic of actually mental illness. Some people really, it's a condition, you need to be treated. But we're not talking about just the happiness and all these other things. Like Catherine, when she put up that pyramid, this is not a Maslow's hierarchy where, okay, you deal with, food and shelter first. And then when we, have the leisure, then we move toward mental wellness and transcendence or whatever. It is not, it is essential. We can't even deal with the basic unless we have pathways and strategies to make sure, our mind is healthy. So I think shifting the focus to that really helped to deal with the stigma because it is something shared by everyone, not just people who are identified as ill.
Thank you, Ophelia. And I just want to say thank you for this groundbreaking, incredibly interesting research to your whole team. Tonya, thank you. Catherine, thank you. And I'd like to say, Dr. Cavanah has something to say.
I wanted to give a shout out to our Global Wellness Institute researchers. They are phenomenal. I mean, they rock the boat every time. They're just terrific, and they provide this information that allows us to convey these important points to you. The other thing I wanted to mention that it comes under wellness is tomorrow, one of my colleagues, also a former Surgeon General, I will be interviewing him on loneliness. It's something we miss very significantly that is a potentiator of mental health problems, immune system dysfunction, the list is endless. And we struggle with that in our country, especially with our senior population. And now in COVID, with isolation, more and more we're seeing mental health problems from loneliness. So the antidote for that is obviously to stay connected. And my colleague, Dr. Murthy, wrote a book on this, on loneliness, that was just published. And I will be interviewing him tomorrow afternoon on that subject and the importance of understanding. What the Brits have done, actually, is to name a minister of loneliness to counteract this problem. So it's very important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. And I'm just going to mention also that because this is media, and media is always interested in what is happening now. And Dr. Vivek Murthy, who you're interviewing, was just, I guess, announced as the person that Biden is going to have heading up his new COVID group. So I would say we're very timely, and how exciting that he is so passionate about connection and together the book about human connection. So, that's all looking like a good thing going forward.
Yes, so thank you all for attending here in person, and you can get some lunch now. And thanks to our virtual attendees as well. Have a great one.